Welcome to Courage in Crisis, conversations of health, faith, and wellness. It is our pleasure to bring you this program as together we reflect on the goodness of God. Together we continue to think about who God is and how God is leading us through this particular crisis. And so today we are talking about disaster preparedness. Now, some persons will say we are already in a disaster. What further preparedness do we need? However, for those of us who live in the Caribbean region, we know that once June comes along, we have the hurricane season. And we're adding the hurricane season onto the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. So we want our members, we want persons listening to this to be adequately prepared, to know what to do. Because the reality is, the more we know and the better prepared we are, the better we're able to go through the crisis and to really make a positive difference. Today we have someone who has some expertise in the area of disaster management. And we have today with us the Reverend Dr. Dion Christopher. And I don't think I introduced myself. Of course, I am Reverend Algernon Lewis. So, Dr. Christopher, welcome to Courage in Crisis.
Thank you, my brother. It's a great pleasure to be here. Good to see you and the wisdom that's growing with you.
we know what we mean by that.
Yes.
Well, it is good to see you as well, Brother Dion, and it's good to have you on this program. And this program, we normally begin by simply asking you, how are you doing? And I'm referring to, of course, how are you doing in relation to the COVID-19 crisis and the new protocols and the adjustments and how life has become different in such a short space of time? How are you doing?
Well, as you know, I basically just took up a new pastorate. I got to Miami, had an installation service, had the communion Sunday, the following Sunday, and then we were on lockdown. That was very, very, very different.
Disorienting.
Yes. And so, you know, it's been a challenge. It has been a great challenge, just even to do ministry. But from a personal perspective, it has been an opportunity that I think I have taken to reflect, to just to spend time with God. So, you know, where some people might be at home getting bored, I have been reading, experimenting with online stuff and things like that. So, yeah, I've been doing everything within my power to stay safe and to educate as much as possible, especially the members of the congregation to know, here are the things we need to do so that we can stay safe. And you know, as much as possible, I can encourage anyone, you know, if some people are afraid to wear the mask, don't want to wear the mask or whatever else, I have masks of all types, conditions, shapes, and formats. Every time I go online and I see a mask, I order it, because we need to be in this for the long haul. This is not something that's going to go away right now. Even the way we do stuff as Moravians has to change. I have been having, up to this morning, I had a discussion with my namesake, Reverend Elroy Christopher, about the way how we even do communion as the Moravian Church and how stuff like that has changed. So basically speaking, I'm coping, taking it one day at a time, and trying my endeavor best to educate and teach and inform people. These are things we have to do in this season, because I also believe COVID is for a season.
Interesting perspective. I like the fact that you use the word opportunity. Not many people see opportunity in a crisis. And I think that that is one of the things we need to focus on, that this is an opportunity that has been gifted to us, if you wish, strange words, but provided for us by God. And it challenges everything that we have to do, which means that God may be saying to us that we need to shift some ways that we are doing things.
Yep.
But Brother Dan, I could not help but really hear an undertone in your conversation about, well, you're looking for the long haul and you're ordering masks, and it's like you're speaking from a perspective of preparedness and meeting the challenge head on. And somebody may be watching this program and thinking, but who is he? As far as I know, he's a preacher. What is this disaster preparedness? So could you please help persons understand why you have what should I say, expertise in this? Why you a factor in this conversation?
Okay, so I have, I guess for a while now, been interested in emergency management. However, I've served the last 10 years as the senior Army chaplain, the state chaplain for the Virgin Islands Army National Guard. And as the chaplain, as the military chaplain, there's certain roles that we have to play, and we function at the highest level. And so because of that, I have had to do training in emergency management, disaster management, disaster care. I've had to do the FEMA training, which is the Federal Emergency Management Agency training. I've had to do the military training, all of that having to do with emergency management. And then I guess it was a good thing that I'd done all of the training, because then came Irma and Maria and hit the Virgin Islands. So then I was able not just to have the knowledge from going to a school or doing a seminar or a workshop, but I was then also able to have the knowledge from firsthand, seeing the magnitude of Irma and Maria and how it destroyed the Virgin Islands. And I was basically forced to put all of the stuff that you learned into practice. And so I've continued over the years since then to enhance that, that knowledge and that information that I have. And I've tried to, I guess, impart as much of that as possible to the church as well. So my background, is the information that I have is basically mainly from my military experience.
Right. So you have training and you have experience. So there are things that you learned in books and there are things that you learned on the field. I remember seeing pictures of you in your military regalia with trees dropping around you and all of that sort of thing when you were after was one of the recent hurricanes. So you've been doing this. Now, Brother Dion, if you can go straight into just in terms of disaster preparedness, of course, persons are, have to be preparing for the disaster. We've seen some tropical storms coming around, but before tropical storms come, what should we be doing? We know hurricane season is coming June. What should we be doing in preparation, not just for the storm that is approaching, but for hurricane season, so that we're in a place of preparedness?
Well, but Alexander, the first thing is this. I'd want to say this, and I'm not a prophet of gloom and doom, but I think we need to be very conscious and aware that all our different weather authorities are basically predicting this to be a very, very active season. We already have more named storms at this point than we have ever had. So when you put all that together, we have to stop and recognize we can't wait until the storm gets here. And so in emergency management, we basically said there are 5 stages in emergency management. The first one is what we call mitigation, which is where we are now. Actually, we should have been here before June 1. Mitigation is what we do before a disaster strikes. And what we do is that all of the things that we need to do, if we need to do stuff with our homes, we need to do prepare for different individuals, and so all of that stuff we do prior to. You cannot wait till the hurricane season comes to begin to prepare, and that is, I think, a fundamental problem that we have, and that's why when the hurricane, once they say a hurricane is coming, you find that supermarkets are crowded, overcrowded, and that kind of stuff, and are empty. And in the Caribbean, we have had